So, since this will be our house anyway, could you move out soon? Well, you seem to be misunderstanding. Neither this house nor the apartments will become Bob's property. What? My sister-in-law, Alice, was speechless at my explanation. My name is Marie, a 35-year-old office worker. Currently, I live with my parents in our family home. This time, I'll be sharing about the absurd troubles caused by my unreasonable sister-in-law. I have a younger brother, Bob, who's 3 years younger and married a beautiful woman named Alice a few years ago. Alice was always cheerful, showing kindness to both my parents and me whenever she visited our house. I liked her so much that we often went out for meals with Bob. I thought we were building a good relationship, but one day Alice stormed into our place in a rage. It was one day on a sunny weekend. Suddenly, the doorbell rang in the afternoon. As I was heading to the door, it rang again. Wondering who could be so urgent, I opened the door to find Alice, with a grim look on her face. Alice? What happened? I have an important matter to discuss. About this house. About this house. What's the matter? I'll come in. Wait a minute. Without waiting for my response, Alice barged into the house. Then, Bob showed up a little later. Hey, sis. What's up with you two? Suddenly showing up like this, and Alice seems pretty mad. Well, the thing is, what Bob told me was this. Bob works in nursing care. Unfortunately, his salary is quite low. However, Alice didn't complain and was helping the family budget by working part-time. But suddenly, they started talking about inheritance at our family home. Our family owns a large piece of land where we have built apartments and rented them to tenants. Alice believed that Bob, being the eldest son, would own both the family home and the apartments in the future. And suddenly, she expressed a desire to move into our family home. When Bob asked what she meant, she wanted to move into our larger family home to save money on rent and start saving, rather than paying rent for their small apartment. Bob tried to curb Alice's runaway idea, saying, "We don't even have children yet, so I'm not sure if we should move into our family home. And my sister lives there too." But Alice declared, "Then I'll go talk to your sister directly," and planned to storm into our family home. It's a rather greedy way of thinking, but maybe women become this way when they think about starting a family and having children after marriage. But it's strange that she'd suddenly say she wants to live in our family home. Well, let's just talk this out inside for now. I find my brother Bob to be quite unreliable in times like these. He's always so unmanly, for a lack of a better word. That's why I thought him marrying the gentle and mild-mannered Alice was a good match. They seemed like two peas in a pod, but it looks like he's completely under her thumb. When Alice came into the living room with a furious expression on her face, my parents and I were genuinely startled, wondering what the fuss was all about. For the time being, I had everyone sit down and served some tea. Then I sat down and asked Alice to explain. What exactly is going on here? What is this important matter concerning our house? In short, we're thinking of living in this house, Alice replied. So you want to move in and live with us? Alice shook her head, saying, No, that's not it. Wouldn't it be awkward for all of us? You in-laws run the apartment next door, right? Yeah. We would like for Maria and in-laws to move into one of those apartments, and we would like to live here. What? At that, my parents and I collectively gasped. Glancing at Bob, I saw he could only manage a wry smile. If you move into the apartments you own, you wouldn't have to pay rent, right? Well, yeah, we wouldn't need to pay rent, but why do we have to move? This house is a bit too large for your parents to live in, isn't it? With the gathering and cleaning, things are going to get tough, and the stairs to the second floor are quite steep. A fall could lead to a serious injury. Bob, you feel the same way, don't you? Well, yeah. I was astounded. So essentially, they want to kick us all out just so they can live in this spacious house? My parents seemed too stunned to speak. Well, there aren't any vacancies in the apartment right now, so we can't move, I replied. Oh, really? Then which apartment's lease ends first? You could create a vacancy by choosing not to renew it, right? Alice, what are you talking about? Why do we have to move into the apartment? I've already explained that that's something we can think about if we get old and need nursing care. Right now, we're all fine. We don't feel like the house is too big, and my parents plan to spend their golden years in this house. Alice sighed deeply at this. I didn't want to be so blunt, but your point was blunt from the get-go. It can't be helped. After all, Bob is the eldest son. That means eventually, this house and the apartment will be his. If we have kids in the future, we'll need a larger house. Wouldn't it be better to start living here sooner and get used to it? Wait, kids? Are you guys planning on having kids? No, I mean, if we have kids. What a forceful argument. She's saying we should hand over our house on the assumption that they might have kids one day. So, since it'll be our house anyway, couldn't you move out any sooner? I turned to my brother. Did you discuss this? Bob could only shrug and smile wryly. So, Alice had been so pushy all along, huh? I think there's some misunderstanding. This house and the apartment will not be Bob's. What? What do you mean? I'll explain. This house and that apartment are both under my name, Marie, so Bob can't inherit them. What? No way. On hearing my explanation, my sister-in-law was at a loss for words. Why? I mean, usually the eldest son inherits everything, doesn't he? Well, my father began to explain to Alice. In fact, both this house and the apartment were built by my parents, but due to financial difficulties, I, who was financially stable at the time, took over all their liabilities. Adding to my father's explanation, I said, just recently, we managed to pay off all the debts from the apartment business and started making a little bit of profit. So we're still operating at a loss. We're in the red. But it seemed like my sister-in-law Alice was too shocked by the revelation that they would not be receiving either this house or the apartment to comprehend the financial details. I won't accept this. If that's the case, then we should also have a share of the apartment's income. Her argument made no sense. How could someone be so audacious? Seeing no point in further discussions, I simply stated, absolutely not. But Alice was stubborn. Next time, I'll bring my parents, she said, taking my brother Bob back home with her. I was annoyed, thinking this could have been avoided if Bob had just put his foot down with Alice. A week later, Alice did indeed bring her parents. The discussion restarted in our living room. We explained the situation to Alice's parents. While we spoke, they listened quietly, nodding occasionally. After we finished, Alice's father finally spoke. This sounds odd. I believe that due to the nature of Inter Vivo's gifts, should your parents pass away, Bob would be entitled to a portion of the estate as a reserved portion, correct? He's been checking the issues, it seems. And you intend to keep it all to yourself. Isn't that unfair? Alice's father chuckled smugly. Alice, too, had an unpleasant smirk on her face, but I wasn't going to back down. Ah, you might be right. But did you forget? This apartment was originally saddled with debt, right? I can provide evidence that I paid off the debt, but Bob has no proof that he paid any of it. After all, it was me who took care of the payments. If you want a share of the inheritance, you'd have to shoulder half of the debt I took over. That would be about this much. I keyed the amount into a calculator app on my phone and showed Alice and her parents. They were speechless at the sight of the figure. That's impossible! That much debt? It's just increasing our debt, isn't it? I didn't miss those words. Debt? What do you mean by debt? No, it's nothing. Bob, what's going on? I glared at my brother and demanded an explanation. Well, I don't know anything about it. Alice, is there some reason you want to live in this house? It seemed Alice's father resigned himself to spill the beans. I'm sorry, our daughter recently took a big loss in the stock market. What? It seemed Bob was also in the dark. Why, Alice? I heard it was a good investment opportunity from someone at work. What? That's a scam, isn't it? Shut up! It's your fault for not earning enough. What? So you wanted to seize our house and use the money you'd save on rent to pay off your debt? What's wrong with that? We had no other option. I was appalled. She should have talked to us about it in the first place. The audacity of trying to steal our house using such underhanded tactics. I won't tolerate it. There's nothing more to discuss. Please leave. But wait, I'm really in trouble. I confessed. So please help. Huh? Don't be so soft. I too took over a debt from my parents, but I paid it all back. Let me tell you, it's not okay to keep working part-time when you don't have kids. You're still young. Work full-time. Don't complain about Bob not earning enough when you only want to work part-time because it's comfortable. And Bob, stand up for yourself. That's why she gets to say whatever she wants. I was furious, causing both Bob and Alice to fall silent. Anyway, your debt is your responsibility, so you and Bob figure out how to repay it, and get out of here, immediately. Ah! Alice, her parents, and my brother hastily left the house, as if they were running away. Later, I received a call from Alice's parents. They apologized profusely, saying they were truly sorry. My words had apparently struck a chord, and they had decided not to help Alice and Bob, regardless of how much they asked for assistance. Bob had unknowingly been put in a difficult situation because of his wife's debt. Although he had decided not to divorce Alice, I hoped he would work hard to repay the debt, and he needed to show more dignity towards Alice. I knew that sooner or later, the two of them would come asking for help again, but we were resolved to not offer assistance. I sincerely hope this situation will force both my brother and Alice to reassess their actions.